Hi friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome to our new viewers. This week I kind of wanted to take it a little bit slow and just kind of do a vlog type of video. We are Friday right now, but I have a little bit to do and I thought it would be fun to kind of take you guys along with me. So in this video, I hope to split it up into sections and kind of go through my week, what I'm up to, and just, yeah, hang out and chat. So if that's your cup of tea, then stick around. And I'm gonna put little timestamps for everywhere in the video where like everything's gonna be split up. So feel free to hop around, have some fun, and let's just hop right into it. So today I actually posted my third spinning video, this one. If you guys have noticed a little bit recently, I've kind of got bit by the spinning bug. I'm an avid, obsessed spinner, and basically going to Fibre kind of also really pushed me to become more obsessed into spinning, to the point where I just got an order because after going to Fibre I saw a lot of people spinning on supported spindles, and I started following specific spinners and keeping up with what they're up to. And then Andrea Mowry started the 100-day long draw spin. So I've been watching a lot of people long draw. I only have a Turkish spindle, and on a Turkish spindle, I don't think you can do long draw, at least I can't, and I've never really seen someone do long draw on a Turkish spindle. A few people that I recently followed on Instagram use a supported spindle. And I've been kind of doing a little bit of research into supported spindle. I've been doing a little bit of research in supported spindles. It's a little bit hard to say. Even Andrea Mowry in her latest weekly Friday video mentioned a few brands that she liked, and just like talks about supported spindles and how it is the best way to do a long draw on a spindle. I feel like I'm saying a lot, but not really. So I went, before that video came out actually though, I ordered from Top of the World, which is a spindle maker in Ontario, I think, or around Ontario. It's from Canada. So I ordered two. I got a Russian type spindle, which I have yet to try, and I just tried this one last night. So I just did a mini little spin. But this is some of the roving I got from Fibre. After watching a couple more spinning supported spindle like videos and expertise references, I've realized that this one is actually really long. So I am kind of looking to get another spindle, a shorter one, because this one is still also really long. And this one I haven't actually got the spin. This one's a little bit trickier to spin for me compared to this one. I did order these online, so I couldn't really try them before buying. Something else that you need with a supported spindle is actually a little bowl. So I also got this little wood and resin bowl from Top of the World, so that you can place your spindle in your bowl and it kind of keeps it grounded and helps it not just like slide around. So then you can just... Now the method I've been doing is the park and draft, and that is literally when you... I'm just gonna spin and then stop it and draft. I haven't actually gotten to the point where I could do long draw, but I just wanted to show you guys. I'm also hoping at some point to do a comparison video when I have more experience with this one, because for now spinning on a little Turkish spindle is so much easier, but I think that's just because of practice, and I hope to be able to do a long draw soon with this spindle. I just don't know how to spin it so that it works long draw without dropping the spindle. So I'm still trying to figure that out. But I just wanted to show you guys, this is a new little acquisition. I now have two Turkish spindles, two supported spindles, and I have one drop spindle. So I hope to do a compare and contrast and then kind of rate them from my experience, which ones I prefer. So the spindles were individually wrapped in some wrapping paper. And then at the bottom, there was just some raw, like, wool. So this is unwashed, clearly, because it is very, there's like little hay pieces and whatnot, but it came with some raw wool, which smells really sheepy. But there's like this brown and this white. So if I figured out a way to wash this, maybe I could actually spin it up. The only thing is this didn't come with a card. I don't know if this is something that you're supposed to spin up or it's just packaging. But if I could figure out a way to wash this and see if I could spin it up, that would be actually kind of fun. Now to switch over to the knitting and what I'm working on and finishing. I have actually finished knitting my Florence bag. So this is what it looks like, the mohair edition. It is 2 strands of cotton held with a, it's not mohair, it's Lillian Pine's limoncello. The color is limoncello, but it's their silk and alpaca, like brushed alpaca. So it's a mohair replacement. So this is what the bag looks like. I ended up knitting the large, and I kept messing up the bottom because for some weird reason I had a yarn over, an extra yarn over, and it kept messing up my stitch decrease. So the math never made sense and I kept ripping back. I think I ended up ripping back 5 times till I discovered the random yarn over that was just there taunting me. Now what is left is to go buy a lining for it, which I hope to be able to do this weekend, get a zipper and a strap because I don't have any of that stuff, so that I could actually call this bag done. But the knitting portion of the bag is done. So this was the large, and then there was a small size. I do have yarn left over to knit the little wallet, so I think I'm gonna do that. In the pattern though, there is no instructions on how to knit the wallet. So I'm assuming it's just to do the cast on as many stitches as you want your wallet to be. And I thought that's what the purse was, but the purse is just a smaller version of this bag. I thought it would be in the pattern, but it's not. And she doesn't actually sell a pattern for the wallet. So I think I'm just going to try to figure it out now that I know how to work this beautiful lace design. So I'm just unsure if in the wallet I'm going to put mohair or not. I think I'm not. I think I'm just going to do 3 strands of the cotton held together, just because I don't really want a furry wallet. But we'll see. I might change my mind when I decide to cast that on. My current whip right now that I just started last night, I just did the 2 shoulder, not shoulder pads, saddle shoulders. So this is supposed to be Cardigan no. 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and hopefully I can keep knitting it this week. But this is the yarn I'm using. Yes, this is the size of the cake of my yarn. It is Noro Hanui silk, and it is, I think, 30% silk, and then the rest is just Hanui wool, which is a sheep from New Zealand. But Noro is a Japanese yarn brand, so they got the sheep from New Zealand. They got the fleece from New Zealand, the Hanui sheep, and the wool. Look at this yarn. It's just stunning and beautiful, and I've had this in my stash for such a long time now that I don't know what happened yesterday. I just saw Cardigan no. 9 and saw that it was an Aran weight pattern, and this is Aran weight yarn. And because it is wool, I thought that it would be perfect for it. But because it is a 30% silk base, I thought that the silk would really help with not pilling, like not so that the wool doesn't pill, but also hold it together instead of holding it with a mohair, because a lot of my knits have mohair in them, and I'm slowly trying to sometimes not knit with mohair. But the pattern does call for an Aran weight and a mohair. I just hope that the fact that this has a pretty high silk content, it should kind of work like silk in a sock or something like that, help with the pilling. So we'll see how that goes, but right now, this is what the texture of the yarn looks like. I love that it's not stripy. I love that it's just like both white and black chaos. So now that I am back home, I can finally show you guys what I ended up getting. It's nothing too crazy. I kind of was tame with myself. And basically the reason why I had to go to the yarn shop was because I am knitting the everyday sweater again, and it'll be my second one. I am like sort of test knitting my own sweater. I remember for my swatch video, I had used this white mohair with another yarn, and it worked really, really well. But the issue came when I tried to knit the collar and start the actual sweater. The yarn worked well in a stockinette stitch, but in a rib, it wasn't bouncy enough. So the collar ended up being really, really wide, and the rib, not even blocked, just like expanded and didn't have the bounce that my original design was supposed to have. And I think that's because the yarn had viscose in it, which is a more plant fiber, and plant fibers tend to be more like cotton or linen, very like loose without the bounce aspect to them. Now, this couldn't have fallen at a perfect timing, because the exact same time that I realized that that sweater wasn't going to work up with that yarn, I received this in the mail. So these, I have 4 of them, and this is a gorgeous alpaca yarn, a beautiful kind of sandy, woody color, brown. And it is 2-ply. It is a DK weight because I checked it against the purple and they're the same weight. And it is a 2-ply alpaca. So this is the closest thing in my stash right now, 100% alpaca, to the 100% alpaca that I was knitting the original sweater in. So I'm very, very excited. Now the story behind this yarn. So my aunt reached out to me a couple months ago saying, hey, my friend owns alpacas and has an alpaca farm, and one of the knitter who worked with her, who was in charge of selling yarn and making up patterns and stuff like that, had sadly passed away. And she was kind of getting rid of all her yarn and selling it so that she could just focus on her animals and just keep the farm aspect of the business, but no longer have the yarn part. So, off balance. So she messaged me and was like, hey, would you want to buy some of the yarn? So she had a bunch of gorgeous colors, but I was really drawn to the natural tones. So I ended up picking up 4 of these. So these are 4 yarns from the actual alpacas from the farm. So it is from Saint-Lazare de Bellechasse, and it is 100%, why am I standing on one foot? And it is 100% alpaca. So it's a 2-ply. And I mean, how pretty is this? So today when I went to the yarn shop, I kind of had it in mind either finding a yarn to match with the white or to find a mohair to match with this brown. That was my goal. I didn't necessarily want to knit it a white version of the everyday sweater because I know myself, I'm gonna stain it. Well, the white won't stay white. I don't know. I was just not feeling a white sweater. And I was kind of texting my boyfriend on and off. What do I do? Do I get a friend? And him too, he was like, you know you're not going to get the white. You said you didn't want a white. So I ended up finding this beautiful, perfect mohair. So this was the closest option to the alpaca yarn, this kind of lighter, sandy mohair. So the one that I went with is from Sonnesgarn Tin Silk Mohair. And I didn't necessarily want to pick this one, but it was the closest color. And I kind of didn't want it to be too different from my main skein. The other color mohair, there was Knitting for Olive and other brands, but their browns were more like a lot more caramel or a lot darker, or it was just like a white or like a cream, and that was too white. I mean, it's different, but it's still pretty close. I think that it's gonna work, so hopefully. And the fact that this is a 2-ply kind of makes it a little bit thinner, like leaves room for the mohair to really coil in there compared to the other yarn I was using. So hopefully this will work really, really well. So I'm actually really excited to be casting that one on, and I'm pretty sure that that's going to become its own video and its own thing. Good morning. So hopefully today's goal is to go to Grandville Island. What I hope to be able to do is to get fabric for my Florence bag. I think there's a fabric shop. I've never actually been in there, but that would be great to get the lining. And then I also, since I casted on the Cardigan no. 9, I think it would also be great if I was able to find some buttons for it. I'm not entirely sure what I'm looking for, but I'm thinking like the long button, kind of like she has in the original design. I think that would be really, really great. But before we get to that, I kind of wanted to talk to you guys because yesterday we went to Wet Coast Wools and I bought a little mohair and I knit up a swatch. Well, I'm in between of knitting up a swatch. So this is what the swatch looks like right now. On camera, I'm pretty sure this looks fine, right? However, I am actually really disappointed in this. So before I went and picked up that swatch, I had this darker mohair in my stash. This was from my Louvre sweater. So once I received the alpaca, was like, you know what, let's try it. It's a darker mohair, but maybe the dark will complement the kind of lightness in the alpaca. So I knit the swatch and immediately hated it because it was just different tones of browns. The mohair was just too different from the actual base of the yarn, and it was just too warm of a mohair. I don't know, if you think about it as a whole sweater, I just thought it would be too like bam, darker brown. Maybe it's the color of my base yarn, but for some reason mohair for that, like I brought the skein and I had such a hard time finding a mohair that would work with it. So I thought that because I went too dark, this time I'll go with a little bit lighter, and I thought that these two would work really, really well together. And in the evening with the sun, it just came out to look like there was just like a white strand and white fuzz in this yarn. I don't know if you can see it in the light right now. Maybe I'll find a better picture, but it just looks like there's like a random white fluff. That's really frustrating. So now I am kind of stuck. This one is too dark. This one is too light. So I looked back at my stash and I feel like this project is just becoming so difficult. So I don't typically buy that much DK weight yarn. And now the issue I'm having is it seems I can't find any mohair to match any DK weight yarn I have in my stash. So I took another peek back at my stash and I came across this yarn from Fibre Co. Erin More Light. I was convinced that this was a fingering weight, but upon looking up on Ravelry, because it doesn't say on the label, but I remembered buying this thinking it was a fingering weight. But I have about 3 skeins of this yarn, which is kind of like a gorgeous tweed yarn with little specks of like, with specks of white, specks of yellow, copper, brown. It's like a very mixed fiber yarn because this yarn has 80%, sorry, there's just fluff fiber. I was just spinning and now everywhere is just like fluffy and fiber and I'm half asleep. But this yarn is 80% wool, 10% silk, and 10% cashmere, and it's a DK weight. A little bit lighter and more muted in tones than my alpaca that I had, the 100% alpaca. I think this should work. And that is what I'm going to be trying this morning before I have to head out and meet with people. I think that this will work. So we're going to cake it up and we're going to see and pray that this works because I am losing my patience right now. Yes, I did just go get changed. But before I head out, I actually finished my swatch and I just wanted to show you guys. So this is what it looks like. I ended up also doing the rib to make sure that the rib is in fact squishy and bouncy. Basically, I think after 6 attempts at trying to find the perfect yarn for my reknit of the everyday sweater, I finally found it. I have finally found the combination. So now I can recast it on and knit it up again and have a second one, which would be so good. So I'm super excited. because I wanted to find a yarn combination that was going to excite me when knitting up the sweater and casting it on. I didn't want to just knit a second one just to knit a second one. I wanted the yarn. I wanted to be really excited about it, and now I am. It's now clearly a very different day. I am exceptionally bad at time managing, and basically after going to Grandville Island, I went out for dinner and then that was it. The day was gone, and so we are now the next weekend. But I did want to show you guys what I ended up picking up from Grandville Island and how my current projects and stuff are going. The Florence bag there hasn't been any progress on it. It's literally the same. But I did in fact go to the fabric shop. Basically there, when I was searching for fabric for the lining, there was someone who was searching for fabric for a project. It was really funny because I am a knitter who doesn't know how to sew, but who's gonna need to figure out sewing. And then there was a sewer who doesn't know how to knit, and she's gonna have to knit something for her sewing project. So we kind of like were laughing at the cashier counter because yeah, I'm a knitter who can't sew and she's a sewer who can't knit, and it was like crossing of two worlds. And the cashier was like, yeah, this happens all the time. People come in knowing one hobby and then they're like struggling and they're here for questions and need help. And she wasn't too good at knitting. So anyways, I thought that was kind of funny, but basically I got a little fabric. So this is the lining that I ended up choosing. It's kind of like a cream light color with some fall leaves and pine cones. I kind of really liked it. I wanted something muted because the bag is so neon, but I wanted it to be like a cream. But I also like that this is kind of like a green. It's kind of like a little lime sage green. So I thought that the green would work really, really well together. I don't know if maybe my camera's overexposing. There we go. I don't know, I thought that would be really cute on the inside, so that's the lining I went with. I just wanted something subtle but still cream to kind of calm down the fluorescence of the yarn. So hopefully next week I can get the straps, get what I'm missing, the straps, the clasps, and the zipper, and then I can sew it all together and have a finished bag. I actually did a little bit more progress on my spindle, so this is how much I have. I really haven't had too much time with it, but it's been a lot of fun, a lot of learning. I've dropped it a couple times, but so far it's really, really nice. And then this is kind of the fiber. I don't know if I showed this before, but this is the fiber that I'm going with. It's from a bat, from a larger bat. So it's like a blue with like little specks and little pieces of silks and funny colors and just a lot of fun. That's what it looks like. Little small thing. I did also put in an order for a new spindle, so that'll be coming shortly. I think it's supposed to arrive. It's a small little independent spindle maker, so it should be here around the 10th. So hopefully by then I have a new spindle. And finally, if you guys watched last week's video where I was talking about my Turkish yarns and what I plan on knitting with them and just new pattern ideas that are inspired by the new Turkish yarns I got, I was actually knitting on, and you probably saw this sweater was being worked up. So this is the sweater now, the cardigan now. And the buttons that I ended up choosing, thanks to you guys over on Instagram, I had put a poll, and unanimously, you know when you say a word like too much that now you no longer know? What am I saying? Okay, anyways. So, and in the end, the buttons that I ended up selecting for it, which I think are going to be stunning and add to the whole essence of the whole rustic chic look, is these actual, so they're 2-holed, kind of black oval, really thick, lovely buttons. Actually, this might help showcase the button. So this is the button. Let me know if this helps. So I ended up going with that. And then I also got, which I was trying to spin on my spindle here, but I'm really not a fan of this one. It's just not working out for me. And now I don't really know what to do with it. I just can't get it to work. I can't spin it fast enough for some reason. So I'm having a very hard time because I ended up getting some little roving from Sanjo Silk, which is a store on Grandville Island. I picked up this very fun, funky roving. It's like purple and yellow and orange, and it kind of makes me think of like a circus, like a tent. So you can see, I did try to spin it, but the spindle is just, I think I'm going to wait for my new spindle for this one. If you are curious, they do sell this on their website. They have a couple different colors. So this one is 50% silk and 50% merino wool, which is the yarn base that I had used for my Friday tee by Petite Knit. I didn't spin that one. That was spun from Sanjo Silk, but it was 50% merino and 50% silk. So this should kind of create the same yarn consistency depending on how I spin it, of course. This is 50 grams and it was about $14. But this is really nice and fun. It's a cute little sampler to just test out the roving and their color options. They have very fun colors. And I saw someone else spin this into a super gorgeous lace yarn, which like lace and then plied together, which is why I ended up buying it. I was kind of really motivated and wanted to create my own. What she did, forget her YouTube name, but it was essentially 2 different colorways from Sanjo Silk, from the little mini bats, mini rovings, and then they plied them together. So I made a really unique color combination, which was a lot of fun. Looked like a lot of fun. So I think that kind of wraps up my weekend, which has now turned into a full-on 2-weekend event. I hope you guys actually really enjoyed this type of content, enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it, taking you guys along with me. And I am now just going to go sit and probably knit some more. It is raining here, it is gloomy, it is gray, and I just feel like staying cozy and warm inside. So that's what I'm going to do. Hope you guys have a lovely, beautiful rest of your day, rest of your week, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!